I honestly never in a million years thought that I would be at a Cracker Barrel to film an episode for YouTube, but here I am. What is going on with this whole Cracker Barrel nonsense that I'm sure you've probably seen all over the internet? And what is the one key piece of this that I think everyone is severely missing in the coverage? We're going to talk about that here today. So we decided that we were going to do some episodes throughout the week where I said they're just those like, hold the phone, I got to call up my friends and cover this because what on earth is going on? We live in a crazy world, and I feel like the goal here has really been how to tackle those topics in this messy life that we live in. But as friends, right? As we talk about these things, we discern through them. How do we go through this with a biblical worldview? How, with just some common sense, which isn't very common in our world anymore, do we tackle these things that are happening? And again, I didn't think Cracker Barrel was ever going to be on that bingo card, but here we are. Quick recap in case you are unaware, because I feel like I quite live under a rock and even I couldn't escape this topic. But Cracker Barrel just came out with their new rebrand, and I was seeing stuff pop up on the internet, of course, about this, and everybody was freaking out over a logo and the fact that they were changing the way the inside of the store looked. And I went, okay, I mean, I'm not a big fan of a lot of things, but really the way that many modern businesses are going is this like new modern look where they're kind of taking any character and color and fun and instead kind of just making everything more streamlined. My kids call it like the sad beige mom, where they're taking away all of the uniqueness and the character and the whatever it might have had before and instead turning it into something that is just very modern and corporate looking. We're seeing that all over the place. You look at photos. I saw one the other day of like what McDonald's used to look like versus a McDonald's now. It's very sleek, it's very clean, but it doesn't have that character. It's not very authentic or special or different. And we're seeing that in a lot of places. So at first when I saw the whole Cracker Barrel thing, I thought that's what had happened. Ours still has the old logo, but they're getting ready to go through. It's like a $700 million rebranding that they're doing, which is crazy how much money they're spending. But they are going through and they're changing the logo. They've taken Uncle Herschel out of everything, and now it's just going to be this plain, very generic, just says Cracker Barrel with like a blob of yellow behind it. So I get it. Is a brand, why they felt the need to rebrand, I'm not really sure, but apparently they did. So that's what they're doing. And then they're giving everything inside this makeover. So instead of looking like a very traditional Cracker Barrel, which again has a very distinct look to it, right? Cracker Barrel looks the way it looks for a very specific purpose. They have basically given it like the Joanna Gaines treatment, where everything is going to be white and brighter and have this like farmhouse chic. It looks like an episode of HGTV showed up, and that's what it's going to be from here on out. And so I thought at first that that's really all that had happened. And so I was like, okay, some of the pictures look okay. They don't look bad. It is very different. And I understand that change can be difficult sometimes. I thought that's all that there was to it. Unfortunately, of course, that is not the case, because why could we leave things simple when instead we could super overcomplicate stuff? Well, super overcomplicate is where we are at here today. What has been uncovered, and I'm going to share some videos and some links down below. The one person who has really been doing a lot in this and it's gotten a lot of traction, but now other people are coming out and they're adding more information to back this up, is a man by the name of Robbie Starbuck, who does a lot with this DEI woke agenda that is being pushed through so many companies into our lives everywhere that we look. And so as this came out, he's been sharing information with, this is so much bigger than just changing a logo. And I want to talk to why so many are so upset over this, because I think it is a lot deeper than just they're modernizing their interior and changing a logo. Companies rebrand, they do stuff like that. And it doesn't always have to be your favorite, right? Maybe you miss old 1990s McDonald's and you're not a big fan of super modern, sleek McDonald's. Maybe you love this one more and you're glad all the like cheap decorations and stuff are gone. That part doesn't matter necessarily. If a company wants to rebrand, that's the look they want to go through, that's fine. I think it's really interesting though, because not only is there such outrage about Cracker Barrel, people are so upset. Their stock tanked $100 million in a day. I've seen some reports. I'm not too sure, but I've looked at a couple things. Some people said that it's already up into 200 million that they have lost since doing this rebrand, which to me is just crazy. And the fact that the CEO is like literally digging her heels in and saying that everybody loves it and this is such a great thing. I'm like, then how come you just lost like $200 million? I don't think everybody thinks it's a great thing if you're losing money like that. The thing that I think everybody is missing though, right? What's coming out of this is not just that they wanted to modernize and update and make it, instead of being this really iconic place with a very specific look and feel, very like traditional old school Americana, like somewhere between grandma's house and a hunting lodge, this kind of very unique experience when you came to a Cracker Barrel. And now it just, again, it looks like Joanna Gaines showed up and like whitewashed everything and now everything's been shiplaped to death. But the problem is that behind this movement, Cracker Barrel has kind of on the down low been really working through and pushing DEI, woke agenda, progressive agenda, all of these different things for a lot longer. And that's that Robbie Starbuck, that thing that I'm going to share with you down below, where he's really going through and illuminating with evidence all of these practices and places and movements and things that they've been pouring a ton of money into. Again, kind of on the like hush hush over here so nobody really knows about it. And now this is like almost like they felt like the time has come that they can now put it all out there and really start moving forward. I think why people are so outraged about this and why we specifically as Christians are feeling so fed up is that Cracker Barrel felt like a safe space. It was Southern charm. It was conservative values. It was old school America. You could still go in and, see Christian music and buy devotionals. And again, it had this very much just wholesome feel to it. It was almost like a safe space that wasn't going to be commandeered by the progressive left and turned into Target, right? Turned into Disney, turned into all of these other things that have just gone so progressive that people are sick of having to have that crammed down their throats, quite literally. Excuse me for thinking that Cracker Barrel was about Southern food and biscuits, right? Like crazy me thinking that this could just be about a good place to eat and to have that kind of Southern hospitality and charm. To have a cute little gift shop. It's always very family focused, very wholesome. That's it. But what we're seeing now is, yes, they're making these big changes. They're going around and remodeling all of their locations. They're changing everything out, right? They have all of the stuff that's going on. And then come to find out in the background, they have been paving the way to making sure that the progressive kind of leftist agenda is what is being woven into every place they can possibly get their hands on. They are huge partners here in the Out and Equal movement. Again, you guys watch that documentary. That's where it's going to cover all of the details of what exactly has been happening. But I think the thing that is making all of us so upset isn't just that it's an ugly logo. Okay, plenty of companies have ugly logos. How much do you care about someone's logo? Sure, I don't like that you've changed it. You had something that was so iconic and so specific and so special. It's like going to a rainforest cafe. Going to a rainforest cafe is a whole experience. You go there and it's almost like being at an amusement park. Like it's so much fun. It's so different. And then imagine if you walked in there and everything was like sleek and clean and bright and, totally cleared out and you'd be like, whoa, this is not the same thing. So, okay. You don't like the logo. You think it's dumb. You don't think that Joanna Gaines needs to come in and take over the decor. But I think the fact that now that that's just shedding light on that deeper part of it, we already feel like everywhere that you go in this world, an agenda is being pushed upon you. Right? Our kids in their school system, the government school system, us with the DEI things that we have to, pay attention to in our own workplaces, being able to not even know how to make small talk with neighbors anymore because what if we don't agree on things and then everybody loses their marbles? There's so much of this already out there today that I think when there are few places that we feel like are kind of still safe spaces, right? Walmart traditionally leaned a little more conservative. Target traditionally leaned more liberal, right? You kind of had this one or the other. Not saying exclusively, that's a whole nother topic, but I'm talking about general things. Normally, you would feel that if you were going to a Cracker Barrel, it was going to be very family friendly, a little more old school, conservative. I mean, those are going to be the norms that you saw versus if I go to Starbucks. If I go to Starbucks, I'm expecting everything to be some sort of like woke agenda because that's just Starbucks. It's who they are. It's what they've always been. And so I'm really not surprised when it happens there. I think why this is so upsetting is that their clientele, the people who eat at Cracker Barrel, they are traditionally more conservative. Family values. You're going to lean more to these traditional values. And so to see that behind the scenes, they've been pouring their corporate money into the anti of that, and now they're just starting to roll out these changes and these big things are all starting to come together. I think why everybody is so upset because it looked like that you took something that was just seemingly innocent and safe and now have thrown it into the lot of everything else of the Sodom and Gomorrah world that we live in. And I think that's why people are so upset. It felt safe. It felt like, how could you take away the traditional conservative core of Cracker Barrel? Like if you took that away, it's not even Cracker Barrel anymore. Like you walk in and there's always a sweet little old lady in the country store and you can pick up some great devotionals. I mean, there's so many just wholesome and very traditional valued in its really just being. And now we're clearing that out, we're modernizing it all, and we're making sure that no longer are we worried about what it used to be, but what we can turn it in today and into tomorrow. You have this CEO who honestly doesn't even look like someone who's ever eaten at a Cracker Barrel. I mean, she looks so far from what this company seems like it is about. And then come to find out it's because it's not what that company is about. Because they've been doing all this stuff for years now. No one out here knew it though. And I think that is so hard. I mean, when you see, I know at any Cracker Barrel I've ever been to, the Sunday rush after church at a Cracker Barrel is insane, right? Like, has anybody ever been to a Cracker Barrel after church? I mean, that's where everybody wants to go if you have a Cracker Barrel nearby. It is such a great experience. You see all the families here. You see all of this come together. There's so much to that. That woke agenda is the furthest thing I have ever thought about when being in a Cracker Barrel. And so when it feels like there was this safe space that was built upon traditional conservative values, literally from its logo to its decor, right, to everything that's in it, and that has now become a new open field for progressive ideals to start flowing through. And the fact that they've been hiding it for so long really just makes, I think, a lot of us feel that the evil of this world is out of control. And if Cracker Barrel isn't safe, what else isn't safe? And I think that that's kind of this scary piece of it that I don't even know if everyone who's been bothered by it has even been able to kind of put their finger on that this is what it is that's really bothering them. So you paid $700 million for a stupid new logo. Okay, that's dumb. So you're changing out all of the decor. I don't know why you would do that. You had such an iconic look that's literally been that way for 40 some odd years. Like, why would you change that? Oh, but now we're seeing that behind the scenes, there's a lot more going on. You guys have been working for a really long time, deep in the trenches of woke propaganda, and now it's going to start rolling out here. That's not what their clientele wants. Can't food just be food? Can't having just a traditional conservative just normal? Like, why can't normal just be normal anymore? Why can't I go and just enjoy my time with my family? I do. I pick the places I go to because I don't want to have to constantly be explaining to my 7-year-old why a man is dressed like a woman. And sometimes you go to restaurants and that's what you find. And number one, it breaks my heart because I feel bad for them and their family and what they're going through. And then it's difficult because I have a 7-year-old sitting there going, what is happening? And I go, I know. And now we spend our whole time doing this. So you're right. I very specifically pick the places we go to because I know that I'm going to have a higher chance at one place than another. That's just how it works. I really didn't think Cracker Barrel was going to be on that list. And I think it is just really heartbreaking to see how much this keeps happening, regardless of how much people don't want it. The outcry over this has been huge. There are a bajillion videos about this. The CEO, even when asked about it, she was like, oh, people overwhelmingly love this. People are losing their ever-loving minds over how much they hate this. What are you talking about? What sort of algorithm are you listening to that says this was a good thing? Your stock is dropping like crazy. Again, I think it was like 100 million in a day that they lost. And then I saw somebody else even reporting that it's up to 200 million loss. You're looking at a nearly $1 billion budget for this rebrand, considering 700 million was how much they're paying for it to happen, and then they've lost another couple hundred million. Can you even believe this? Like, these numbers are staggering. You did that so that way you could continue on with an agenda that your clientele does not want. I don't want to go into Cracker Barrel and have a woke agenda pushed. I want to go and have a wholesome family place that I can go to and just enjoy the being. Think back to the beauty and the nostalgia of yesteryear and kind of just that coziness that Cracker Barrel so wonderfully curated and then has held on to for decades. Why does everything have to change? Why does this woke agenda have to come into every single thing? All of us with kids, we're here battling this every day anyways. I know I am. I'm battling this in my own home with my own children, where they are seeing the things that the world is constantly pushing out, targeted at them. And it is exhausting as I'm sitting here prayerfully pouring through scripture, trying to work with my children and help them navigate this twisted Sodom and Gomorrah world that we live in. And when you have the simplest and most wholesome of restaurants adding to it, it's literally like you can't escape it anymore. And again, I think this is why this rebrand will go down as one of the worst known to man. Because not only do they not know their audience whatsoever, they don't care. And they're going to keep pushing their ideals regardless, because they've already been doing it behind the scenes for years. And they could care less about you and I. They could care less about all the people who built them up to make them be a company that could spend $700 million to essentially tank their whole business. I hope something comes out of this. But even more so, I hope you and I can really sit down and have some honest conversations about just how far this world will go to push its agenda when the Lord makes it so clear. He shows us that narrow path and he equips us to walk down it. Doesn't make it easy, but it's there. And the Lord never leaves our side. And so we're facing these things, we're seeing these things. I know more Christians that love Cracker Barrel than nearly any other place. They're not coming here anymore. I'd love to pop in and grab a snack or do something, but my husband said, I'm not giving you my money anymore. It's not worth it. We vote with our dollars. And it's difficult because nothing out there is perfect, and that's fine. There's companies of this world that are companies of this world. I get it. But when you are sneakily and strategically trying to promote ideals that go against everything we all stand for, why am I going to help you do that anymore? Because they've been taking your and my dollars for years now and turning them into things that none of us support. So why am I going to keep doing that? And obviously, the outcry has been here for a while now, and they don't care because they haven't changed a bit. And so I guess we'll see what comes of this. I mean, it literally is insane how the CEO still has her spot, how all of this is still continuing on. I genuinely have no idea. But it doesn't seem like it's going to change. And I think for those of us who are believers, who are faced with this stuff every day and are trying to work through this anyways, here's just another opportunity to look and see where the world is going this way on the broad path and where it's time for us to take our exit and head to the narrow path. We're going to keep having these conversations around here because I think they're the conversations that we need to be having. And so if you guys want more conversations like this, be sure when you subscribe, tap your little bell icon, share this with a friend, because I know this conversation is happening a lot right now. But let's make sure that when we look at it, we see that kind of deeper root issue to it. Okay, it's an ugly logo. Joanna Gaines got a hold of it. Not actually Joanna Gaines, I'm just saying that look and style, right? It looks like she went in there and just HGTV'd the entire thing. Whatever. That's what you're gonna do. I don't think it's very smart. But the deeper root of this is something that is far more important, and something that I think we would all be wise to notice and realize. They're taking advantage of us. They're taking places that have been meant to look safe, look conservative, look traditional, look like a place for your family to be, when all the while they've been working behind your back to pour into something absolutely polar opposite of that. And once they feel like they're ready, they're going to take it full throttle, and they could care less about all of us who are making them rich, what we actually want and what we're actually supporting. So big prayers to you all. Now be sure and go watch this video right up here. Again, he does a great job. He's done a lot of investigative work into what all is going on behind the doors, and you're going to want to see that so you really understand and see how this all merges together. I'll see you all right back here in the next video. Bye, friends.